The following podcast contains naughty language and ridiculous situations. Listener discretion is advised.
It's not really getting any easier out there, is it? You could even say it's getting worse. And I think at the end of the day, it's nice to have a distraction. So if you're listening to this podcast, we thank you. We thank you for allowing us to be your distraction. And if I could speak for the boys in the show, I can say we don't have the answers, man. But I can definitely say that you guys being out there is definitely a distraction for us, allowing us to be inside your mind and your ears really makes us happy, and a chance to really hang out. So even though we're separated by viruses, chaos, let's take 2 to 3 hours, and why don't you all grab a chair and mosey up to the virtual Denny's table. And it's the radio, so you can take your mask off. So grab a beverage, grab your earbuds or whatever the fuck, and let's hang out, man. Let's have some conversation, some dick jokes, and probably some arguments. So welcome to Trick or Treat Radio.
Zombies. You're listening to Trick or Treat Radio, starring the Deadites.
Welcome to episode 411 of Trick or Treat Radio. Trick or Treat Radio is the world's most dangerous podcast. It's recorded in front of an undead studio audience here at Castle Wolfenstein, also at the Lair of Lost Swag within the Raven Chateau, also in Casa de Zero, and also the Lair of the Gods. Once again, we are broadcasting from 4 locations. We discuss at least one film a week. We argue, we make fun of each other, and sometimes our hosts want to be inside of you.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Well, that's a little creepy. We all want to be inside you.
God damn, dude.
What is your mind?
A little Lord, but, I'll take it.
It wasn't meant to be. Although I have been listening to the Michael Rosenbaum Inside of You podcast nonstop, so maybe that's infecting my mind.
You just need to touch someone.
I'm fucking trying, man. I had my arms out for the mailman. He fucking ran just through the fucking mail.
I love how...
Oh, come on, give me the bill.
I also love how during the intro, MZ is like twisting his fucking bottle all around, coughing. Like, that comes through.
Thank you for bringing that up, John. He has a bag of Funyuns in the back.
Yeah,
I can see
like,
it.
Like crinkling bottles.
Yeah.
What? This damn thing?
That
you
damn
can hear
thing.
that?
Yeah, it sounds like a fucking.
You can hear that.
Sounds like a fucking shotgun.
Oh, for fuck's sake, dude. What do you got? Miracle Ear in that thing?
No, that's what happens when you don't have an actual mic. Look at Aries. He's got a nice mic.
I don't want to look at Aries.
Why? You want to see my pretty face? Look at me.
Bring that shit back. No one wants to look at that train wreck.
Wow. Oh, Ozzy just came back from a walk, so he's down here saying hi. That's why I'm leaning down. So on this week's show, we're going to be talking about the #1 film in America, The Wretched. Yes, we'll get into that a little bit later, because this is not your typical #1 film in America. So it's kind of one of those nice little asterisks that, people will look 10 years down the road. They'll be like, what was the #1 film in, June of 2020? Oh, The Wretched. What? So, yeah, it's kind of an interesting little footnote in history that I think will be interesting to talk about. So we'll be discussing that, and, I don't know, we'll get into some other trouble. If you guys out there listening live and you would like to contribute your own thoughts, whether it's on the film this week, The Wretched, any of the films we've done in the recent past, or any time. I mean, if you want to talk about Contracted Raven Shadow, a film we did on way back, it's okay for people to call in about that, right?
Oh yeah, man, I'm fascinated. I want some new thoughts on that discussion.
You want to hear about the zombie gene?
It's a fucking perfectly plausible storytelling initiative. Okay.
Storytelling initiative.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want some fresh ears to comment on that.
Fresh ears to comment.
Oh,
Well, no, I mean, sorry. Yeah, I want some fresh ears and some dirty mouths. I want some fresh ears to listen and some dirty mouths to comment. What do you think of that? Yeah.
Wow.
So,
God.
Wow. All right.
You definitely need to get out of the house. Just like go
Yeah.
for a walk, I think.
yeah. What am I gonna do that for? I'm gonna look at people in the windows in their houses being together.
Yeah.
No.
That's kind of
Oh,
creepy.
you mean you don't do that already?
Yeah. No.
Yeah, no.
I'm gonna call the
Yeah,
pizza guy.
no.
I'm gonna have leave all the money for the pizza like a trail downstairs to the basement. Like here's $1, another $1. Hey, God, since you're here, you want to have a slice? Let's hang out. What? Shut up.
No, you don't. No, you don't say no. You say yeah, no. Yeah,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
What is yeah, no? Why is it just yeah or no? Why is it yeah, no?
I'm not picking a side.
I'm not picking a side.
I'm not saying yes. I'm not saying no.
Yeah, no,
Saying-
I'm neutral.
Yeah, no. Yeah, see, you did it again.
Yeah.
Oh, you nut.
Can't put me in a box.
Somebody get a straitjacket for this guy.
Straight-
Heavy medication. Heavy medication.
At the very least.
Yeah.
So, yeah, anything happened this week?
You watch the news, Johnny? Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Really well.
Perhaps too much, actually.
Yeah. Been real nice.
Well, I
Really
came back. I went to Salem.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. You went on your vacation. Right,
That's
MZ?
right. That's right. See, Wolfie, you can actually leave the house every now and again.
Holy shit.
Where'd you go? Come on, tell us all about it.
Went to Salem. Went at the famed Hawthorne Hotel again for a night.
Again. How many times?
And yeah, I've stayed there maybe 4 or 5 times now. It's a nice place. It's very spooky up in those hallways. I'll tell you. And it's very homey down in the lobby and everything like that. It's a great place, and I mean, some of the places are still not open, but the places that are open are pretty cool. You know, there's the Salem Mall that's open, and a couple of other places. There's Raven Shadow. There's a place down there that is a comic book store. I forget the name of it. It escapes me for right now. And I mean, as much as I love TE, this place just blows it out of the water.
Well, take it back. It doesn't. They have carpeting. They have
So does this place.
no. I'm talking about that place. They have lights. They have rugs. You know.
Yeah.
And they have,
They have
more-
people. They have people in there, and
See, I would say it's probably the second best New England shop I've gone to in terms of cool things.
so you've been there.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, I didn't know that you. I didn't know that you've been there.
What's the name of the store?
I forget.
Fucking Salem Comics probably.
Yeah, something like that.
I was actually in that store many years ago when I got hired at TE. It was just weird.
Really?
I got a call, but yeah, no, I was like,
Is that the one that's in the mall? Is that the one you're talking about, MZ?
no.
It's just It's
Okay.
just
'Cause that one's
past.
not very good.
This one is just past the statue of Elizabeth Montgomery in Bewitched. You know that Bewitched
Yeah.
statue
There's an awesome
that they have there.
there's an
Yeah,
awesome
you just
pizza joint right behind it. that has some amazing vegan pizza. It's called Flying Saucer Pizza.
Yeah. It's past Flying Saucer.
Okay, I guess I've never. I thought that I would have gone because I've been there a bunch of times. I figured that I probably would have seen it, but I don't know that I've been there.
It did. It kind of got some negative attention a couple of years ago for some. It got some bad press a couple of years ago, but it seemed to have gone away by a former employee that worked there. But it's a cool shop. It's very pretty. I mean, they definitely don't have TE's prices or back issue selection, but it's a very nice shop.
All right.
It's always a great stop in the toy. It's very pretty. It's very clean place.
It is. It's big. It's big.
It's big.
Are we echoing?
Or what?
It's big. And it's got a cow.
I didn't hear what you said, Richard. What did you say?
You guys don't hear that? Where it's playing the playback's going on. In the
sorry.
back.
I opened up a new window. Sorry about that. The folks live didn't hear it, so only you guys did.
Fair enough. And actually, I know it is a great shop. I always like going there, and there's a great Army Navy store.
Oh yeah.
Salem too.
That one I've been to.
Yeah. Just before. Yeah, that's just before the comic book store.
Oh.
It's about you got the Army Navy store, and then on that same strip, you walk down about another 70 feet, 80 feet, and there's the comic book shop.
It's great.
I must have been in there.
You probably have. I mean, I'm still kicking myself because like maybe 10 years ago, there was I could have bought a riot shield, like a police riot shield. This Army Navy store. It was really, overall, it was small dollars. It was probably like $85. And it was cool. It was like the real one. And it had marks on it. Like it looked like fucking, it was real. It had police on the front of it and had gashes and slices and like one of those things where you never know when you may need a riot shield. And turns out 2020, it'd be fucking good to have. Ari, do you have a question?
Yeah, I was going to say, when are you going to need a riot shield? And even in 2020, you haven't left your fucking house. You don't need a riot shield for the dog.
What are you gonna build? You gonna make a shield wall or something?
I just want a shield. I feel I need that. That might complete me.
Well, you know what? You need a better shield than that.
Well,
You won't buy a Captain America shield.
Yeah, I guess I'll call Tony Stark and the fucking. Yeah, maybe.
Stark.
Yeah.
Well, one other thing about Salem MZ, I'm not sure if you knew this, but did you hear that Cinema Salem is closing?
No, oh no, I didn't.
Yeah.
Is it really?
They're closing. Yeah, they announced recently that they can't stay open.
Now, I mean, I went by it, and I didn't see any signs on there. I just saw, like standardized, 8x11 pieces of paper, because I just figured it said, closed due to the coronavirus, will be open end of month or whatever. But they are shutting down, huh?
Yep.
Yeah. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. That sucks.
So I mean, hopefully someone steps up and buys it, because I think they're putting it up for sale. But I mean, you never know. It's not the best time to buy a movie theater. So
yeah. Whoever buys the movie theater at this time.
Well, they wouldn't be buying the movie theater. Let me rephrase. They'd be buying the assets and then taking over the rent, essentially. So buying all the equipment, the projectors, and everything. So, but yeah, it's too bad. They've had some good film festivals there, and there's some cool features that they play. So it'd be a shame. But I'm glad you went on a vacation and had a night out in Salem.
Yes.
Good for you.
Well, I did come back with
apparently, yeah, you did.
Not so much of a souvenir. No. I not apparently with a souvenir, but I did buy at the comic book shop.
Oh.
I did buy this book on film. I didn't realize this book has been out for like 22 years. Who knew? It's called What It Is, What It Was.
Nice.
And it's a book on 70s blaxploitation films. So, and there's a lot of really awesome info in here, interviews that I never thought I'd ever get to see. Like from Roscoe Ormond, who was in who started in Willie Dynamite, but he's better known to everybody else as Gordon from Sesame Street. So
nice.
there's an interview with him in here, and also Rudy Ray Moore and Fred Williamson. Just great shit, So Quentin Tarantino as well. So Pam Grier.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a really cool book, and it showcases a lot of the poster art from the films back then, and really good artwork. So I'm gonna have a good time reading that. It's gonna be a blast, and that's really pretty much it.
What? Who's the author?
Does
it say?
Let's see. Yes, 3 people. Gerald Martinez, Diana Martinez, and Andre Chavez.
All right, cool.
So, collaboration effort.
Yeah, so I'll actually post that on the so when I post the show up on the website, I'll put that in a link on the side because it's interesting. I've never heard of it either, and I'm sure some other folks would be into that. So, have you had a chance to read it or just flip through it so far?
Just flipped through it so far. I've been running around like a lunatic lately. So yeah, I'll probably get a glimpse of it this weekend. And speaking of this weekend, Wolfie, you and I, we'll be celebrating a birthday this weekend. You and I.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, yours is on Sunday and mine's on Monday.
That's right. So if I don't talk to you again, happy birthday.
Ever?
Ever.
I've always loved you.
Wow. Is there something that I don't know? You're going to make some announcement on the show or something?
No.
Well, happy birthday to you too, MZ, even though I will talk to you again.
Yes. I'm going to be 49. What's wrong with me?
Well, we
start.
Yeah. Yeah, you got a couple hours? The funny thing is I would think, I mean, hopefully you take this as a compliment, but I would think you were the youngest out of all of us, if I were to guess.
Yeah, I guess I am. Well, I don't know about I mean, what, the youngest looking, you mean, or
I mean, if you talk to you, I mean, you have a very youthful sort of exuberance about you.
Oh, what you're saying is I'm immature.
Well,
yes.
I mean,
yes, he is. He was trying to be nice, but if you want to just dig it out, there you go.
You're kind of like Lenny.
Kind of like Lenny.
Lenny.
Oh,
Lenny, like Lenny and Squiggy.
Sure.
Just like a random guy named Lenny.
Of Mice and Men.
Lenny Dykstra.
Yeah, Lenny Dykstra.
What am I, a psycho? What am I, a psychopath too?
No, he's like. I think we're trying to say you're very childlike, and we appreciate that about you.
I'm immature. Well, you know what? That's the thing. That's what I always say. Is that
I'm immature.
Man's immature.
He's immature. The man's immature. Is that is that when people ask me how old I am, I always tell them, I always ask them, well, how old do you think I am? And they always figure somewhere. The last time I asked was, some time ago, but they figured me to be in my late 30s, early 40s. And I'm like, no. And when I tell them, I'm like, Oh, actually, I can remember the last time. The last time I was wearing my Def Leppard shirt, and there's this guy that I used to work with, not because of the pandemic, but because he was gone before I was. But he would see me with my Def Leppard shirt on, and he goes, "Hey, Def Leppard, I like them. Hey, I grew up with them." And I said, "Yeah, well, I grew up listening to music too." He goes, "No, you're not. No, you didn't. How old are you?" And I go, "Well, how old do you think I am?" And if I remember correctly, I think he told me I was like maybe 34 or 35. And I said, "No, I'm 48. He says, "Get the fuck out of here. I'm 48. And he looks like walking death. Okay, cool guy, but looks like walking death. Okay." So it's like, okay, well, this guy obviously partied back in the day, but I showed him my license. I'm like, see, 48, and he was just like mind blown for the rest of the day. So,
well, the last time I was mistaken for 35, I was 25. So.
I can believe that.
That's good.
Oh, I think we all look fairly, younger than we are.
No.
Well,
I look like an old fucking man. Someone today thought I was 55 years old.
Oh
that's absurd.
Really?
That is kind of absurd, to be honest.
I mean, well, he's 55, and he referred to the two of us as our age. So he thought I was in his ballpark.
No. I mean, listen, I got relatives that went gray when they were 18. So you got a little bit of gray in the beard. That's fine. That's just fucking wisdom. But you got a big beard.
Wisdom.
Around the eyes. You still dress kind of like you're 17 sometimes. I like that. No?
Like he's 17.
You know what? According to Raven Shadow, the gray might be wisdom because you don't see any gray on Raven Shadow at all.
No.
That's what the tweezers are for.
Yeah. And the hair dye, according to Cornelius.
I don't use fucking hair dye, man.
No. I'm the one that accuses of the just for men and the toupee.
Yeah, I fucking got it. I get some grays. I got weird, like some like shit on the sides. Some grays. It's weird. My beard, yeah.
But the thing is that, I mean, all right. So I'm going to be turning 49 this Sunday. I don't feel it. I sure as hell don't act it.
That's for sure.
So, yeah. So I figure, what the hell? Just have fun with it, Just have fun with life. Don't take everything so goddamn seriously,
All right. You say so. So, how old are you, MZ? So you're 48 right now.
I'll be 49. Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna put because I think you remember who this guy is. I'm gonna put on the video feed right now. This is Necro Butcher right now. He's the same age as you.
Oh my god!
If people don't know,
what the hell?
Necro Butcher, he is a wrestler. He was a deathmatch wrestler. He literally looks like he's in his 60s now, right?
Holy shit!
He is 48.
Why is he in a bat wearing like Boy Scout gear?
I don't know.
That concerns me.
But this was like literally in the coronavirus age because he's wearing gloves. So this is a recent photo.
But he's in a wheelchair and
yeah.
My God.
Yeah, he's in.
Is he in a wheelchair because of the wrestling that he did, or?
I mean, that's my guess. I'm not positive. I haven't really been following his career, but yeah, he's he's in rough shape. So there you go, my friend. That's what you could look like. So you got the good end of that age stick.
Oh yeah. God damn.
Yeah.
That is rough. I mean, I'm looking at it. That is rough.
Yeah.
Oof. Jesus. And what is he, like a junior patrolman or something, or what? What's going on with the badge? Or is he a cop now? Or
I don't think so. I have no idea.
Necro
Wow.
cop.
So what do you want?
Officer Butcher.
Yeah, Officer Butcher. So what do you want? What do you want for your birthday, MZ?
Happiness.
For you,
Peace
for
around
you
the
or
world.
others?
For others. Peace around the world. That's
pretty,
all I want.
That's pretty generous. Look at you.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
You've come a long way. You've come a long way.
And when the time comes, maybe a fucking job.
Maybe you can get a job making people happy.
Yeah.
All right. Well.
How about that?
MZ the clown.
Yeah.
Dance, Rummy, dance.
I don't know how much does a male prostitute. How much does a male prostitute make nowadays?
How much does one make?
The going rate is $50 for the. Oh, sorry, no.
I was gonna say, how much does one make, or how much could you make?
There's a huge difference between the two. I'm
Yeah,
sure.
there might be a discrepancy.
What was it?
Maybe I'll work alongside Buff Bagwell. We could become escorts.
Oh God.
Who you, Dirt Cliffhanger? What was your porn name?
Rocky Overhang.
Overhang.
Right? Yeah.
Rocky Overhang. Yeah.
Rocky Overhang, and my second choice was Dick Delacreme.
Good.
That was your second choice? I'd go with that one.
Yeah. Rocky Overhang and Dick Delacreme star in.
the double team you never thought you wanted.
Yeah.
The double team you deserve.
Where the docking boys go.
Wow. Rocking with Dawkin.
Yeah.
What if I was to change my official name to Dick Delacreme?
Well, you're halfway there with your Christian name.
Yeah.
The only thing is you have to grow a mustache.
Yeah, since your last
Dick
name
Delacreme has a mustache.
Since your last name's Delacreme.
But should it be like one of those big, thick, bushy mustaches?
Yes.
Or should it be like one of those pencil thin jobs like John Waters?
No.
Okay.
Big bushy cum catcher.
Like, yeah, we're talking Magnum PI.
Nice.
One of those walrus mustaches.
Yeah.
One that like Gene Shalit would wear.
Yes, exactly. The Gene Shalit. So we got a few people hanging out. Corny says, Wolfie, MZ, y'all will have incoming for me soon.
Pumpkin
Shit,
bomb.
duck.
Well, thank you.
So I don't know what he means. I don't know if he means a voice message, a pumpkin bomb. I don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
So one thing I wanted to talk about, actually, Raven Chat, I'm going to let you take the floor here. What did we talk about on our last Patreon episode?
Oh, man, it was exciting. We went down a deep dive of your boys' top 13 action figure toy lines from our youths.
Youths.
What is a ute?
What is a ute? Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's fun.
yeah.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Continue.
Yeah, no, you know what I mean? I fucking...
Yeah. No.
I think for those that were there, I think there was a surprising list. I thought there seemed to be an engaging conversation. Maybe there was some surprises, and I'm actually curious to see if there's any feedback. If anyone shared the same love. I tried to keep it so it was different, not the obvious. And there were some better known properties, but in terms of there were some great properties that had kind of whack toys, but I went from a playability perspective and the whole thing. Aries.
Oh, I'm just wondering if that was like a backhanded shot there for those of us that were there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
you sly
shit.
bitch. You sly bitch.
Wow.
Some of us have a little work to do every now and again.
Oh yeah, I was hoping you could do some work over here next weekend.
We'll make an appointment.
Oh.
I was over at my mother's house and I was digging up some of her old shrubs, and I actually managed to dig up a couple of old GI Joes in the bushes.
Wow.
Oh.
I wonder where that
Hey,
fell
now.
on your list.
Are you gonna fucking be a Patreon? Check
Yeah.
that shit out. See, good idea.
We did get some feedback from EF Contentment about the episode.
Nice.
You want to hear what EF has to say, Raven Shadow?
I do. I'm fascinated.
All right. EF says, Raven Shadow mentioned the Chuck Norris Karate Commandos, which reminds me of what I'd consider my favorite toy line. But it's really more of a favorite action figure subgenre rather than a toy line. I'm talking about action figures based on R-rated movies, like John Matrix from Commando and the Rambo action figure that was based off the cartoon that was based on the film. He said, I used to team those two with the Chuck Norris figure to fight all enemies to the Republican Party, such as communism and affordable health care. It's quite a storyline.
Yeah.
Pretty. Yeah, no, there was. I mean, there was RoboCop. Yeah, the Force of Freedom, Chuck Norris.
Yep. Yep.
I never had the Commando figures, but I remember seeing them. I wish I could have gotten those. And
Was Terminator ever a cartoon?
not when we were kids. I mean, they made eventually Terminator figures, I think in the late '90s, but we would have been older. And they did have Aliens and Predator figures, but once again, I think those were in the '90s. I tried to keep my list in the '80s when it was okay for our age to still be playing with toys. And even though I kind of probably went a little bit longer than I should have.
No, not you.
Well, I see your background too there, sir.
Yeah, no. I can throw the stones.
Don't hit me.
So that's we appreciate the comment there, EF. That's kind of an interesting thing is rated R action figure lines, especially ones that were based off a cartoon that was based on a film.
Yeah, it was so weird. I always wanted Miami Vice action figures.
Well, there's another one. The Toxic Crusaders.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Which
Yeah,
is once again based on a cartoon that's based on an R-rated movie, right?
Yep.
There you go.
Yep.
Although the Toxic Crusader Marvel comic of that time was actually darker than the cartoon was. But they were trying to capitalize.
Really?
Yeah. There was a Marvel comic that had kind of a little more provocative drawings and more. It wasn't the Trauma film, but it was definitely less cartoony than the cartoon was.
Yeah.
It was too long.
Corny says Cops and Crooks was one of those toy lines.
Yeah, I was fucking waiting for that. So fine, Corny. Yes. Cops didn't make my list. Check out the Patreon. But I was a huge fan of the Cops action figures. And you're right, Corny. The blister pack did say Cops, which stood for Central Organization of Police Specialists. And then it said N Crooks on the side of the blister pack. But to be fair, I was thinking about this today. It wasn't on the cartoon, but I was talking about toy line. So you're right. But I think it kind of, when I saw it as a kid, it just seemed like more of like a little tagline, like it wasn't really part of the brand. I think maybe if it was like Cops as a, what do you call that, Johnny? An acronym?
Yep.
SCUBA, right? That's an acronym, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So like if Crooks was an acronym for something, you know what I mean? Like crazy, rabid organization. How you spell Crooks?
Oh, Jesus.
Crime.
CROCS.
Crocs.
Yeah. Yeah, cops and Crocs.
Cops and Crocs. Now that's a croc.
Yeah, which them are in and of itself a crime.
Oh, Jesus.
Well, wasn't there already a toy line that was just called Cops that was an acronym for something?
That's what we're talking about, Aries. Yeah, it was.
Well, there's Cops, and then there's Cops and Crooks. There's two different toy lines.
No, it's the same toy line.
Are you
Corny,
sure?
I'm positive. Corny's just focusing in on a fucking blister pack. I love Corny so much. But that was. I think he's just holding on to that, and I feel that I love him.
You feel that you love him, or you're not sure?
No, I know I love him, but I just think that he's harping on that a little too much.
No, you know what? I'm going to side on Corny with this one. I think that's two different things.
It's not
because the Cops and Crooks is completely different packaging than what I remember of the Cops. That it was COPS with periods in between.
Wait,
that's yes, but that
Citizens on Patrol, right?
Oh shit! That's although to be fair, there was an action based R-rated movie called Police Academy. But
yes,
that's
which
true.
is also a toy line.
Yeah,
that
very
became
true.
a cartoon.
Comes full circle.
Oh, here he goes. He's got to go get his collection.
But no, Aries. Despite Corny's, nitpicking, yes, it is Cops. It's the same toy line.
Zed and Police Skateboard. Holy shit!
I
can wear that anywhere.
And look at the back.
I don't think I noticed before. Is he in his underwear? Is that what that is?
It's like torn.
Is there a Sweet Chuck?
Yeah,
is there a Sweet Chuck toy?
There is a Sweet Chuck toy, and it was it's very rare. In fact, if you try finding it, and are successful in finding it, usually on eBay, you could pay somewhere up to $100 for that figure.
Wow.
Let's see, and I also got this.
Holy shit! Crash Cycle.
Crash Cycle.
Raven Shadow, why wasn't that on your list of toys? I'm spoiler, that wasn't on his list of toys.
Was I was actually a huge. I was so excited, but I wanted more like movie accurate figures. Like I wanted Police Academy like G.I. Joe like detail. I want to have real adventures. I want Carrie Mahoney. I want Hightower. I want, like those are too childlike for me. Those came out
like.
Yeah, but no, come on, man. Once again, you gotta check out my list, man. There was some fucking rocking stuff from '85 to like '87 was the golden age. Yeah, that was Toys R Us logo.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, sticker in the back.
Yeah.
But I wanted more detail. I wanted
these
like
are great.
That's amazing.
It's pretty good.
This is gold right here. Fucking gold. Yeah, he's got his pants are down, or his pants fall down rather. Let me see. Yes, his pants aren't down yet. Those are just his regular pants that you see. But his pants do fall down to reveal some white and red polka dot underwear.
Wow.
And you could see that in this photo right here.
Something.
It's fucking crazy.
I wanted a Callahan action figure.
I mean, you got. Let me tell you who you have here. You got Zed. You got Eugene Tackleberry. You got Moses Hightower and Carrie Mahoney with the Samson dog. Then you got Larvell Jones. Then you got Mr. Sleaze,
Larvell Jones,
Numbskull, and what is this? Claw with Monster Cat. And if you get 3 proofs of purchase, you could get a free Captain Harris figure with bug-eye binoculars accessory. So.
Wow. That's something. All right.
I love this shit. Fucking Police Academy.
All right, so just to wrap up that conversation, so also in on the Patreon episode, if you guys are in the Dear God Yes tier, which is our $10 a month tier, you can see the video. MZ did a tour of his Transformers collection, and it was a sight to behold. It was a good 20 minutes at least. How many figures do you have, MZ? Do you know offhand, like roughly?
Total of every figure? I know it's over 100. It's somewhere over 100.
All right.
Aries,
Between
every
regular... Yeah.
Go ahead, Raven Shadow.
I love watching you look around your room, like you like down, up, to left, right, like you're surrounded right now, aren't you? You're just like, gee, I don't know how many, and like.
If only you had seen it, Aries. Like,
yeah,
he gave us a tour, and it was like it didn't stop; it just kept going.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, maybe you should contribute to the Patreon. I mean, I got stuff over here. I got stuff behind me. I got stuff over here. I got stuff over there. And, of course, I've got some artwork hanging on the wall as well. So, it isn't all just horror and Police Academy. There's a bunch of other stuff in here. Horror, Police Academy, and Transformers. That's what's in here.
There you go. So if you guys are interested in checking out that episode, it was a good discussion. Raven shouted out some great picks. If you're interested and you're not already a supporter, head on over to patreon.com/trickortreatradio. And for as little as $2 a month, you can help support the show. But if you want that exclusive content, it's $5 a month. So go ahead, help out the show, and you get some cool stuff for it. And as we talked about on the last Patreon exclusive, next month is our 1-year anniversary of doing the Patreon. So we're going to try to come up with something a little bit different, something a little bit cool. After MZ blew his load of the Transformer collection, I thought that would have been a good idea, but we'll try to top that, and we'll do something a little bit different for next month. So if you guys, Patreon supporters or even non-Patreon supporters, if you have thoughts about what you would like to see, feel free to let us know. We'd love to hear your ideas, your thoughts. So go ahead and send them to podcast@trickortreatradio.com, or if you're on the Patreon, just go ahead and comment and let us know what you would like to see. So also, talking about milestones, we still got a few weeks here to go, but in, what is it? Let me see. In 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, the 8-year anniversary show.
Holy shit.
6 weeks.
Jeez, already?
I have no fucking clue what we're doing. But if, once again, if listeners, you guys have ideas about what you would like to see, obviously we had the milestone of episode 400 somewhat recently. But if you guys have any thoughts about what you would like to do or what you'd like us to do, go ahead and let us know. I'd love to hear your thoughts. So yeah, some milestones coming up, the 1 year of the Patreon and also the 8-year of the show. Madness.
And almost the 1 year in the new studio, even though it's...
Yeah, it'll be... So that will be August. So yeah, like just after the anniversary show will be, the anniversary of doing the shows this way. I think it was August... It was either the first or second week of August. I don't remember. I think it was the second, actually. I think we took a week off. And
I think it was.
Yeah, so I think it was the second. So, not as big of a milestone, but still worth mentioning, that's for sure. So, All right. Well, we should probably wrap this shit up and get moving on this film discussion. I just said I left the.
All right.
Did you guys still hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, well,
I hear you.
Okay.
it said you left.
Yeah. Well, that's the other computer.
There we go. There we go.
I just added it back. I don't know what happened there. That's weird. Now it has me. This is stupid. It has like.
That's you twice.
Yeah, 2 of me. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Where did MZ go?
Producer.
Boy, you really love yourself, huh?
Yeah. Johnny gets a square. It's gonna be all fucking. As the show progresses, it'll all be Johnny.
Look at this. We're
Yeah.
Well,
That was the people get the rare view into seeing what we see when we look at you during
Yeah,
these
I
shows.
know. You get to see my as Corny calls it, the Raiders of the Lost Ark warehouse.
Yeah. As Jay put it, the ice bucket challenge is coming down.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, it's kind of embarrassing.
All right, baby, it's all right. I like
All right,
that.
so I got MZ back. I don't know what happened there, but there we go. There's MZ. All right.
There I am.
So,
Hello, old friend.
old friend. Like there's one friend out there. It's like, oh, MZ, I missed you.
He has one friend.
So,
I miss you too.
so yes, it is. Last year, I guess. I think it was last year, or maybe it was the year before. I think it was last year. We all our birthdays essentially fell on show days. You guys, like, it was either on the day or like at midnight when we were still broadcasting. So, yeah, it's kind of funny. But this year, it doesn't happen. So our MZ's birthday is coming up on Sunday, and mine's coming up on Monday. And there's another birthday. Oh, my buddy Alberto from the Force Insensitive show. His birthday's next week as well. I think it's on Thursday or Friday or something. So yeah, lots of birthdays coming up, and there's a lot of stuff going on. I know MZ, you kind of were thinking about talking about it, but maybe we should skip some of the big news going on in the horror community, especially because we got to move on with the show. But
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff. Maybe we'll wait for things to kind of like work themselves out before we bring it up.
Yeah.
But anyone that follows the horror community, there's sort of a little, I guess we'll call it Me Too movement sort of happening in the horror community. So if you're interested, seek it out. There's definitely a lot of stuff out there. Some of it's kind of shitty to find out, but hopefully everyone does the right thing. I guess is the best way to put it.
Yes. This country is known for always doing the right thing.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because Trump thinks it's a good idea
But I digress.
to hold a rally on Juneteenth in Tulsa. If you don't know your history, look at that.
Right?
Jesus Christ.
Oof.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, let's move on to more happy topics. And so, yes, if you guys want to support the show, patreon.com/trickortreatradio. Any little bit will help. We appreciate it. If you don't have, if you can't afford the $5 for the exclusive audio content or the $10 for the exclusive video, even just $2 will help support the show, and we'd really appreciate it. So give that a look. Also, you can check out trickortreatradio.com, and on the website, you can scroll down, look for the Amazon logo, click it. It's going to bring you right to Amazon. It's going to input our affiliate link. Everything you purchase in that session gets attributed to us. Doesn't cost them any extra, Raven Shadow.
But it's another way to help keep the lights on.
That's right. So we'd appreciate any and all help. I know, obviously, a lot of people probably shopping online. So if you're using Amazon anyways, you can even, one thing to make it easier, if it's too much of a pain in the ass to go to trickortreatradio.com every time, just go ahead and click the link once and then bookmark it. That's one way to use it all the time. So consider that. And then also on trickortreatradio.com, we have a store. You can click the store link, bring you right to our digital shop, and we have the greatest hits of Trick or Treat Radio volumes 1 through 3 on there. If you want to, that's another way you can help support the show. And you get a direct download. You can check that out. I thought there was some other stuff I was going to talk about, but you know what? We're intro's getting long, so we should probably head. Real quick, MZ. I know you posted about this. You were excited. Bill and Ted Face the Music. Are you excited?
Oh yeah. Oh, I've been waiting 30 years for this.
You've been counting down the days.
And I have been. And the days are getting shorter, man. I can't wait. I just cannot wait. And for a while, it was starting to look a little scary that this release would only be relegated to home streaming. But since it looks like movie theaters might be opening up quite a bit by the time this movie's original release comes out, which is August 21st, 2020, which if you add up all those numbers, you get 69. And I love how that works out. And
well, and
did you
also,
fucking do that?
no, it's true.
and
You take 8, 21, which is 29, then 2020.
and they also released
69.
the trailer on June 9th, 6/9.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's really that's like really going in deep on a joke.
But it's brilliant. And anybody who's a fan of Bill and Ted will get that joke. You know, it just makes perfect sense, and it just jives perfectly with the characters in the film. Now, I've heard some people complain about the trailer, saying it doesn't look that good, and I'm like, fuck you. Whether you think it looks good or not is not going to stop you from wanting to see this. You've been waiting a long time for this. I've been waiting a long time for this, and I can't wait. And when the theaters will open, and they will open, I'll be there. I want to see this, especially for the sake of Alex Winter, because I mean, Keanu Reeves has gotten all the great publicity in the films that he's done over the years, and Alex Winter has kind of, I mean, even though he's left to do his own thing, he's still an actor, and I would love to see him, back up on the big screen, doing what he does best, playing Bill S. Preston Esquire. So I can't wait. I really can't wait. And Death is in this.
Yeah, who's he played by? Robert. What's his name? Shit.
No, that's.
Oh.
Jesus Christ! You have to ask me that.
I'll look it up.
His name escapes me.
William Sadler. That's it.
Sadler.
Yeah. Even Knight. Yeah, it's when you couldn't get Terminator 2, you got William Sadler. But they're both great. They're both awesome.
When you can't get Terminator 2.
Yeah, you get that guy. But he's great. I mean, he was fucking in the Shawshank Redemption. He was in The Demon Knight. He's fucking fantastic. The Mist.
One other thing I wanted to bring up. I don't mean to move off of that too quickly, but I do want to wrap this up. So speaking of sequels, it looks like we're gonna get Peninsula, the sequel to Train to Busan, later this year. And they also are releasing an extended cut of Train to Busan in July. What do you think?
That's going to be insane.
What do you think of that, MZ?
It's going to be insane because Train to Busan was awesome. They crammed so much shit in that movie that the only way to do it is to release an extended cut. And I'm all for it. I can't wait to see it. I hope there's, as much as I am a gorehound and I love the violence, I do hope there's some more character development, a little bit more dialogue, kind of just to even out the whole extended cut part of it, dialogue, character development, violence, give me the trifecta and I'll be happy.
And then I don't want to go too far onto more news because we're not really a news show, but also Bruce Campbell names Lee Cronin as the director of Evil Dead Now, which is going to be the next sequel Any reactions about that, MZ?
My only reaction is get a better title.
Yeah, it's shitty. I agree. It's terrible.
I don't get that at all.
Yeah.
Evil Dead Now.
Hopefully, it's just a working title. That's my hope.
It shouldn't even be a working title. That title has no place in the Evil Dead world. Evil Dead Now.
Oh,
Is it supposed to be like a play off of Apocalypse Now?
maybe. I mean,
That's wow.
maybe.
How about Evil Dead then?
Then, now, forever.
And the Evil Dead before. Like, okay. Good luck. When will then be now?
But
Yeah.
soon. Soon.
Evil Dead soon.
Evil Dead soon. Evil Dead now. Coming soon. What the fuck? I'm confused. Just bring back Evil Dead stuff.
But I mean, even if it is a play on Apocalypse Now, which, it sounds like that's what it might be. The Evil Dead franchise is too intelligent to rely on having to relegate on titles of other movies to prep its own film. So I mean, it sounds like that might be where it's going. Maybe not. I hope it's not. Yeah. And ultimately, I kind of hope they kind of get rid of it altogether.
The one other thing I just wanted to mention real quick, just to go back to Train to Busan, is so it's actually getting a theatrical re-release. So it'll also be arriving, I assume there'll be a Blu-ray as well, but yeah. So it's and apparently the theatrical re-release will have extended footage that's said to offer clues and secrets tied directly to Peninsula.
Ooh.
So, and there's a trailer for the re-release, which is cool. So there you go. So it's exciting stuff for getting a little extra life with a theatrical re-release. That would be fun to see in theaters, I'd say.
Yeah.
And in the chat room, I just want to say also Evil Corny, his birthday is on June 23rd, so his is coming up as soon as well.
Oh well.
I was going to say, and what's important about that date, June 23rd, 1989? Anybody in the back?
You tell me.
I will tell you.
Yes.
June 23rd, not only was it Coney's birthday, which is very nice, good for him, but it's also June 23rd, 1989 was when Tim Burton's Batman opened in the theaters.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Come on now. Bless you. Thank you.
Oh, and Corny says, I thought Campbell was retiring Ash. He is. He's producing the movie. Yeah, he's behind the scenes. Probably won't be on screen, is my guess. But, I mean, who knows? He may have a cameo or something. But, yeah, he's behind the scenes now. He said he retired Ash, So we shall see. All right, well, we're going to move on. So it's enough news. We don't really do that very often. But there was some interesting stuff that I want to get some thoughts on. So, Raven Shadow, you sit down to watch the #1 film in America. I gotta know, what do you do to prepare for the #1 film in America?
Oh man, I gotta fucking figure some things out because I'm like, what? Who's going to the theaters? I'm just fucking glad it wasn't the Woody Allen fucking joint because he's a fucking scumbag. So I'd much rather check out this joint. But before that, I had another triumphant appearance on the Tales from the Podcast.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I wanted to ask you about that. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, no, and what was it wasn't the usual format where we discussed an episode. It was actually a deep dive into the comic, the comic burning and the censorship, which led to the Comics Code back in the 50s and shit. So, which, EC Comics was obviously very much, penalized for that, but so was all comics in general. But yeah, it was nice. It was Corny. I miss Corny so much. It was JB. It was his new co-host John. And they called in a former tag team, if you will. So sharing the mics virtually was your boy Raven Shadow and former co-host Dynamo Mars on the same podcast.
No fisticuffs? No, just kidding.
Man.
I heard it was a love fest.
Oh, it was so much. It was linguistical lube.
Oh, gross.
That thing.
Christ.
What's linguistics? Is that lyrical? No. What's conversation?
Language lessons.
Yeah, language. There was language lube.
Love. Language of love.
No, we're talking about that kind of stuff's going on. No, we had to
linguistic lube. No, you're not strapping on just yet. Linguistic lube. Come on, really?
I don't know. I think I feel there's another L word in there that's not. What's linguistics? What's linguini? I know that. That's pasta.
Lyrical?
No. What's the fucking word? Fuck.
What's the fucking word?
Give me the fucking word.
All right, give me the fucking phrase again, okay? Give me the fucking phrase.
I don't know. I'm trying to fucking think of the word. I said the word, yelled at me, but it was nice. You know, fucking supposed to be like an hour show. And between Mars and I, we made it fucking like 3 fucking hours.
I'm surprised it was only 3 hours. Yeah, apparently
I know.
You each had some nice stuff to say to each other. I heard a little bit about it.
Oh, a lot of little words being exchanged. No, it was very nice. You know, it started like the conversation started from the 50s, and by the time we were done, it was the fucking 90s. It was so fucking we weren't so. That's not true, but I don't know when it's gonna drop because JB records stuff. He pre-records stuff, but we'll talk about it when it happens.
Was it episode 6?
No.
Oh, ruined it for you.
Well, no, it's gonna happen. This is like it was like a giant size special.
Oh, okay.
So it wasn't a proper, discussing every episode. Tales from the Podcast, the deep dive into an episode Tales from the Crypt, and the comic that it's inspired by. But no, it was more about the maxi gains and the fucking seduction of the innocent motherfucker. You know, who were fucking burning books in the fucking 50s, and so much has fucking changed. It's awesome. So yeah, with all that lyrical love, language of love, linguini, clam sauce. No, I had to strap on.
Finally. All right, we're right back.
Christ.
The following message is a paid advertisement for the Cult of Muscle podcast. The Cult of Muscle. You're either in it or you're dead.
It's the dawning of a new age. The halls of Valhalla have been shuttered. The heroes of yore have either retreated to the shadows or taken to capering for the amusement of the small folk. Their past glory is a distant memory. The barbells have been torn from their once puma-strong grips. The beards shorn from their square jaws, only to be transplanted onto flannel-clad, puny weaklings with fingers barely powerful enough to strum a ukulele. The time has come, my brothers, to restore order from the chaos. No longer will our heroes be forgotten. No longer will their great deeds be viewed through a foggy lens of irony. Hear now our rallying cry as we scream it from the mountaintops, as we bellow it from iTunes and Libsyn and Facebook. It's time to join the cult, my brothers. So don your cloaks and enter the Cult of Muscle.
I'm Alex West.
And I'm Andrea Subasati, and we're from the Faculty of Horror podcast.
And you're listening to Trick or Treat Radio.
Oh, delicious nerds. Ms. M knows you like to chat it up with other sexy shut-ins about comics, movies, video games, and your favorite TV shows. If that sounds like you, cuddle up to the Trick or Treat Radio Facebook group, or the FIB. That stands for Fan Interaction Board. Just go to Facebook and search for Trick or Treat Radio and have more fun than a Jedi at a lightsaber sale. Not enough? Watch us on YouTube, The Deadites TV, all one word. Last but not least, check out the world's most dangerous talk radio show, Trick or Treat Radio, at trickortreatradio.com.
And we're back on Trick or Treat Radio. Most of us are. All right, we're going to talk about a film. That film this week is The Wretched. It is not rated. It is 95 minutes. It is a horror film from writer-director brothers Brett and Drew Pierce, the Pierce brothers. And the film stars John Paul Howard, Piper Curda, Jameson Jones, Az... wow. This name fucking baffled me. Tesfaye, Zara Mahler, Kevin Bigley, and Richard Ellis. The synopsis: a defiant teenage boy struggling with his parents' imminent divorce faces off with a 1,000-year-old witch who is living beneath the skin of and posing as the woman next door. So, yes, The Wretched, your number one film in America for 5 weeks in a row. This is the first time I think we've ever done a film that's been number one in America. In the almost 8 years of this show, we've never done a film that's ranked number one in America at the time. So, kind of interesting. You guys all froze up. I don't know what's going on. Can you hear me fine still?
I can.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, your cameras all froze. So let me see if let me just see if I refresh if they'll come back.
You know, not that I keep myself out of the horror circles, I certainly don't. But I heard very, very, very little about this film up until about maybe a week and a half ago. And the person who told me about this movie first was my mother. Of all people.
Wow.
No, because she said she saw it on Good Morning America. They were talking about it on Good Morning America. And I'm thinking to myself, you know, why is that? And it never even dawned on me because, you know, the movie theaters are closed, but for some reason this one, I guess at the time, was number one for, 3 or 4 weeks running. So I don't know. It's bizarre to think about that, to think that, it doesn't matter what, what the movie is, But I know I don't mean to say that it doesn't matter what the movie is, but the fact that this movie is number one because it has no competition,
Yeah.
So
yeah. So
it's that.
So let me just before we jump into that, because I am definitely going to talk about that. Let me just follow up on the Pierce brothers, Brett and Drew. They've previously directed one other film called Deadheads from 2011. And they've also done several shorts, and I think they did a direct-to-video in the early 2000s. I'd never heard of it, so I don't know if it's I don't know much about it. So yes, the number one film in America as of recording this for 5 weeks in a row. And the crazy thing is, it initially opened on 12 screens. Now, this is almost, from the information I had, almost all drive-in theaters. So once the pandemic hit and coronavirus happened, they drive-ins were like, yeah, hey, we can open, and they were looking for content. And so I read something about it a couple weeks ago. I should have brushed up on it, so I may have some of the story kind of wrong, but I guess IFC decided to just kind of take advantage of that and be like, hey, well, this movie was going to come out theatrically and on VOD in the same day. Why don't you just show in some drive-ins? And so it played in 12 screens initially in the first week, and it has since expanded to 99 screens. So, I mean, obviously there's not a ton of drive-ins out there nowadays because a lot of them unfortunately went away. But, yeah, I mean, it's just fucking crazy. Real quick, MZ, can you turn your camera off and turn it back on? You froze. I got everyone back but you. So if you could just tap it off and tap it back on, it might come back. I don't know if you just need to refresh it.
All right. Let's see.
So, yeah, in the yeah, there you go. I got you back. Okay, thanks. So this, I didn't do the research, but I can't imagine that there was a lower grossing film to be number one in the history of box office, because
adjusted for inflation and everything.
Well, sure.
It's safe. It's a safe bet to make.
Yeah.
I don't even think adjusted for inflation.
Yeah.
I think, even just going back to the start of cinema, no movie has ever made this little money and been number one.
And because the film so far, since its initial run 5 weeks ago, it's only made 1.1 million. I mean, good. Seriously, this is going to be an amazing trivia question in 10 years,
Yeah.
So, I mean, good for them. I mean, initially when it opened in 12 theaters, it made $65,000. But nothing else was out. So they're, because all the major studios pulled their films, smartly enough, because they weren't gonna make their money back, so they pulled them. But this one, yeah, $65,000 in the first week. Since then, let me see. I had it up here. Yeah. Okay. So it initially opened at I think I'm looking at the wrong thing here. I don't know, but $130,000 the first week, and then it got up to $339,000 in its fourth week, and it was on, I think, 99 screens at the time. So, and then it dropped down a little bit because I think maybe some other films are coming out or people have seen it, but that's just fucking crazy. It's a really interesting thing, and I think it's great of IFC Midnight to have taken advantage of that, because my guess is they probably never thought they were going to get this much money from a theatrical release. So that might be their marketing budget and then some that they've made. And also word of mouth about, like you said, MZ, your mother knew about this fucking movie. And, so I'm sure people are looking it up on VOD saying, oh, I got to see this movie. So my guess is that also boosted the VOD numbers as well, would be my guess. So, it's just really interesting.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're right. You know, it's an interesting footnote that in film history, you know, and horror history, it's. I'll tell you, 5 years from now, we probably won't even remember this.
Yeah, I mean it's possible. Totally possible. I mean we might because this is because it was a discussion point, but most people probably won't, and most people probably wouldn't have even heard of the movie. But yeah, it's just a really I just think it's such an interesting little sort of bit of trivia. That this is the number one film for 5 fucking weeks, and it's made $1.1 million, and that's it. Like
I mean, I laugh at it, but it's certainly not meant to be with any disrespect. I mean, I just find it comical that a movie that's only made $1.1 million is the number one movie in the country, and it's only been playing in drive-ins. And kudos to IFC Midnight for going along with with the release of this film and not pulling it. And I mean, IFC Midnights is, of course, a very, very, very minute, small company compared to the big conglomerates like 20th Century Fox and Columbia. But at least they have the balls to do what nobody else would do at this time.
Well, I mean, whether they realize it or not, they made history here with this movie. I mean, it was low risk for them because it wasn't, a multi-million-dollar movie that they were doing this with. So for them to release it and just have it be in a couple of theaters is nothing compared to, Sony releasing the new Spider-Man movie in 6, drive-ins. I mean, this low risk, huge reward for them. I mean, this movie is going to go down in history, whether it is just a footnote or, I mean, it is. It's going to be a trivia question in Trivial Pursuit 2030. I mean, that's just what it is.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'm also, Raven Chow just pointed out, I think Aries, your cam froze too. So if you could do the same thing, if you could just hit. No, MZ, not you, Aries. What are you doing?
Well, we almost got a crotch shot there. What the hell are you doing?
MZ.
What? What did I do?
Yeah. Are you wearing pants?
There you go, Aries. You're good. Yeah, you literally put your leg up and were spreading your legs. We're like, what the fuck are you doing?
What? What did I do? Shut up.
I've seen porn movies with less fucking leg spread than that. Jesus Christ.
It's a big fucker.
I'm in my underwear. Is that all right with you?
No, it's not. No.
No.
All right, let me read a quote. This is a quote from one of the directors, Brett Pierce. He says, "It's actually been a complete shock and kind of insane," says the Detroit-raised Brett Pierce, who directed the film with his brother Drew. "We were a little movie from Michigan. We always aim for the moon, but with an independent film, you think, yeah, we'll come out in a few theaters, we'll play for a week, and maybe 10 people will see it." And he says, most people are going to see it when we land on a streaming service at some point. Each week, it just kept on getting bigger. It was one of those things where you just don't believe it as it's happening. We're going to be a Jeopardy question one day because we're going to be the lowest grossing, most successful film of all time.
Yeah. He's right. He's absolutely right.
Yeah. Because I'm looking right here at just a list of, there's a marquee for a drive-in, and it was playing The Wretched, Fantasy Island, Trolls, Underwater, The Invisible Man, The Hunt, and Bloodshot. All films that came out right before the pandemic.
Jesus.
So, yeah,
listen to that lineup.
Yeah, and the director goes on to say that IFC were planning a release for probably 15 theaters, and then COVID hit, and he said the release date was set and it wasn't going to change. For a while there, it was like, well, I guess it's not going to be in any theaters, but we're still going to come out on VOD. So these guys thought it was just going to hit VOD. They were like, yeah, probably not going to hit theaters. And they were like, a little disappointed, but completely understood. And then I guess IFC mentioned drive-ins. And, every week IFC we're like, yeah, we've got a few more drive-ins that are open. it's safe to play and they're willing to play it. And then a couple more days will go by and they're like, yeah, there's a couple more. And then eventually it opened on 12, and then it was like, it just kept kind of going from there. So it's a really interesting thing. And it just kept getting added on more and more drive-ins. And so, yeah, it's just one of those crazy things, man. Like, it's good for them. I mean, it's awesome that, this is that they're able to get their film seen in front of more people in a theater, in a theatrical setting, or whether it's drive-in or not. But yeah, it's just really interesting. And but now it's on VOD as well, so people can check it out if they don't feel like going out and braving the drive-in or even when theaters reopen. It probably won't be playing in theaters, but you never know. I mean, they might be hard up for films because so many of them got pushed back. But yeah, pretty crazy stuff.
You know what? Fuck it. If there's a drive-in playing it, go to the fucking drive-in and see it.
Yeah.
I mean, let's bring back the fucking drive-in. I don't know why those died, because those were amazing. I spent most of my youth going to different drive-ins and just having a good time, because you can socialize with your friends in a drive-in without disturbing the neighbors, like sitting in a theater.
It's funny. One other quote with this interview with the director. He says, our sound designer is this really super talented guy. He did all this work on the movie. And he texted me like, so my 7.1 sound mix is playing through your car stereo. I was like, yeah, sorry, man, but it's so cool. It's kind of fucking funny because, yeah, I mean, imagine that, like doing all this fucking sound work and then, yeah, and having it play through like a shitty car speaker or something.
An 88 Buick with 2 speakers, yeah.
Yeah, or one that's like barely working.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty crazy stuff. So all right, well, let's get into the actual, meat and potatoes of the movie, and obviously, aside from the fact that it was, this crazy footnote. So in essence, I don't know. There's no point really running down the entire plot like we sometimes do, but in this we get sort of it starts 5 days kind of ahead of time, I guess you could say, right? And then they go back, or not ahead of time. It just the intro starts, we see something, and it says 5 days prior, 5 days before, and we get kind of a cool little. Go ahead, Raven Shadow.
It was 35 years ago in the first scene.
Yeah.
Did I?
Yeah, it does. It says it's 35 at the beginning. It's what happened in the opening scene is 35 years ago, and then you get the credits or whatever, and then it says 5 days ago, which is totally irrelevant. Which is completely irrelevant to the rest of the movie.
Okay, that's the thing that threw me. Yeah, honestly, that threw me off a little bit. So, I did see the 35 years ago, and I noted how there was like this cool whitewash and like everything was like old school, and I actually was kind of in on that. I was hoping we would get that kind of aesthetic throughout, but then the 5 days, before kind of like threw me off, because it seems weird to jump from 35 to 5 days, 35 years to 5 days.
Yeah, because it says 5 days, but it doesn't play that fact doesn't play, or information doesn't play at all.
Yeah.
Anywhere for the rest of the movie, so it's completely irrelevant.
Yeah, so it was a little odd that they did that. So, in essence, we get to see a little bit of the monster in the opening, in the opening scene, which it's kind of gives you a quick little glimpse of what you're going to see later on. And I did think that a lot of the mythology behind this was pretty interesting, and I kind of wanted to know more. Like, I think that they did a good job of showing some of the mythology, but and also, like, I think there was one scene where they what's the kid's name again?
Ben.
Yeah, Ben, the main kid. When he was sort of doing some research and looking into when he was looking on Wikipedia, I thought that was it was tongue in cheek, a little fun little thing, but also it was a good sort of way of giving like an info dump. I'm usually not high on things like that, but I thought that this was an interesting way of doing it, and it was fairly effective. So, but in essence, we have Ben who's going to stay with his dad for the summer. His parents are sort of in the midst of a divorce. It appears like, and he seems like he's not exactly crazy about staying with his dad, or his dad seeing some new woman, and how that goes, right? Like he doesn't want to warm up to her, and so there's a lot of strife in Ben's young teenage life, and in the synopsis it says he's defiant, and like he is and he isn't. Like I think a lot of the defiance is based on what's happening in this film,
Well, that's the thing too. Like I think once we see our main characters and we're settling on the right time period, I thought there weren't a lot of cliched characters in this. Like I like Ben. He wasn't defiant. He was having some problems.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's got a broken hand or a broken wrist, which is kind of unusual. And that he's like 17 or at least 17, 18. Yeah, he said he was 17, but he wasn't. He had some stuff to him, and even down to seeing his dad was like, "Do you want to tell me about the hand?" And he's like, "Nah, not now, not now." I like that he kind of came with something, and he was going to see his dad. I mean, I was wanting to wonder where this took place. So my first thought, if it wasn't New England because of the lake, the water, it wasn't ocean, it had to have been a lake. So I was thinking it was set in like Michigan, somewhere like that area. But I liked him and his dad's dynamic, him coming to this town. It didn't read like a lot of cliches to me. I like the characters. So.
Well, I mean, defiant is a relative term. I mean, that to certain people he was very defiant. To other people he was an altar boy. I mean, that is just a very relative term.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and then we kind of get a kind of glimpse of what this is all about, and his dad works at a marina or something like that. Yeah, and so he gets a job working there and meets this girl, and we kind of get the lay of the land here, and then we meet the neighbors, and he's kind of checking out the mom, and asks his dad about the neighbors, like, oh, there's vacation homes up here, we don't know who they are or whatever, and and then we kind of get to follow the neighbor, the mom. What was her name? She was Abby, played by Zara Mahler, and I thought that that was kind of an interesting dynamic between her and her child, and I kind of like what they were doing there. I didn't really love the stuff with the deer, as you guys might imagine. That was pretty hardcore what they were doing, but I guess in a sense it made sense. I mean, it served its purpose for the story, which makes sense. So,
right. I mean, it was an accident that she was using something. She wasn't letting it go to waste.
Yeah.
I mean that was a bit excessive. Like,
yeah.
I don't think, it's like, okay, you know what? I hit a deer. We're gonna, teach the family a lesson. Okay, if you don't know what you're doing, you don't drag the deer home and gut it in your driveway.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a bit much.
There are probably laws against that, even if, like...
No. Well, I can speak from this state. If you hit a deer in this state, Massachusetts, you need to get a permit, and then you can do what you want with that deer. It is your deer.
Yeah, right? So I'm not too far off, at least. You can't just, like, take it home, and if you were...
Well,
okay.
I mean, you're assuming she went to their local fish and game and got the permit and brought it home to do with as she chose.
I did not assume that. I think she was batshit crazy. I think she took a little kid in the woods and it was okay to get lost. I was concerned about ticks. She was not covered up enough at all to walk in those woods.
Oh my God.
I didn't like any of that. I just wanted to be home if I was that kid. And she kind of came off a little batshit crazy there. Like, she had to be a little potty girl, which is nice, but I don't know. Don't go wandering.
Don't go wandering.
It's the woods.
I'm doing that. I'm done with that.
Woods are for wandering, man.
Yeah, that's what you do. Go for a little stroll.
Yeah, no, I've done that. But, like, if I was a dad coming home and I saw a hoof, I'd be fucking pissed the fuck off.
Oh.
Honey, I couldn't help but notice there's a fucking hoof in my fucking driveway. I wanted to get a pizza, okay?
Will you shut up? Just shut up.
Wow.
You're mumbling. You're talking shit, man.
He's not mumbling. He's rambling.
All right, he's doing that too.
It's a discussion.
God damn.
Oh, fucking Cisco and Ebert. Go ahead.
Oh,
Cisco and Ebert.
Yeah, go ahead. Teach us how to gut a deer.
Yeah.
Show us. Explain how we field dress a deer.
Yeah.
How do you field dress a deer?
Yeah, go ahead.
I would imagine what you do is that you would take it to the barn or to your backyard or whatever, string it up by its hind legs, you hoist it up, and you gut it from sternum to chest, and you just peel back the chest and you rip all the guts out.
No, because what she's doing, she's field dressing it. It's what you do when you kill the deer. You don't bring it home like that, so you don't string it up. That needs to be done on the ground.
All right. If you say so.
I do. I know.
Okay.
All right.
All right, let's move on.
Yes, let's move on.
Yeah, please.
Oh, man.
God.
And so, yes, so this sort of like ancient, I guess we call it ancient, like witch is transported to their house through the dead deer, which, I thought that there was some decent stuff in this when the deer is sort of like just sitting out on the driveway overnight. It kind of like creeps out and hides under the house. Like, I thought there was some decent stuff there. The effects of the witch I thought were pretty good generally, and made for some tense moments and stuff like that. Nothing we hadn't really seen before, though, I guess is the big thing for me, is it didn't really stand out a lot. But but I thought that there were some good moments.
Yeah, that's the problem. A couple of good moments in this, not too many. As far as the Wretched goes, I guess you call, or Witch. Oh, it just came from Salem. The CGI Witch didn't read too well to me. I didn't really like it all that much. I thought the practical effects were very good. I thought the practical effects were very, very good. Done by, and I caught on to this as the credits were rolling, done by a guy by the name of Eric Porn. And I'm thinking, fuck yeah, that's an awesome name.
Jesus, you got to change your porn name now?
Come on, how many guys do you know with the last name of Porn?
Dr. John Porn, the guy who invented it. Okay.
Dr. John Porn. Shut up, Raven Shadow. I'm warning you one last time. Shut up.
Listen, no.
What was that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Raven Shadow, shut up.
You just laughed at his joke and then told him to shut up. What is that?
The fuck?
Take it easy.
The best name.
But what I didn't like.
Shut up, Monster Zero. Shut the fuck up. I hope you fucking die.
Wow.
Hey.
In like 3 years.
Hey, you talk to me like that again. You talk to me like that again, I'm gonna head down to your place, break down your door, and break your dick in half. All right? Now shut up.
He loved the company.
Yeah,
so
he just wants
it.
to get touched, so it's okay.
I'm leaving the doors unlocked. That Pep Jacket Mark. No.
You're just hoping like a fucking raccoon comes in or something.
No, I'll call Aries for that. But no, yeah,
No, but what I didn't like was the witch. I mean, like, all right, we see the witch early on in the film, okay, or at least we assume the witch, and here we are 35 years later, then 5 days later, or whatever it is, and it's like we don't know how the witch got in the deer, because that was never explained.
Well, it is a witch.
Or where the witch was before all that time, you know. And this movie did a lot of that really irks me, where they just cut to a certain area in the film where not a lot is explained how they got to this moment. Like there's this one scene where Ben, One-Armed Bandit, went over to the neighbor's house to unlock or break open the lock on the barn doors that lead to the cellar of the house.
Bulkhead.
The storm doors.
Yeah.
The storm bulkhead. Okay, bulkhead. And it's like just like a scene prior, one of the members of the family in that house is outside in the yard. So it's like, and he is in his house, which is across the street or across the yard. And it's like, I would like to see him try and get over to the house, sneak over to the house, evade anybody who might be around, just so he could break open that lock. And this movie is filled with things like that, where it just skips over some necessary tension points just for whatever reason. I really don't know. If it's done out of style, I don't like it. If it's done out of, I can't imagine it being done out of budget, because it's such a small and easy thing.
It's done out of love.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
I don't have that much of a problem with this kid walking next door and opening a bulkhead without the neighbors knowing, because it's a bulkhead. If they're not looking out that side of the house, they're not going to know that someone's breaking into their bulkhead. It's in whatever region of the world this is, that's kind of separate from the house. It's underneath it, but it's not like there's a cellar door.
But he's taking a monkey wrench to this damn thing. It's not the quietest thing in the world.
Yeah. Do you examine every noise you hear outside?
Yeah,
if I hear something like that, I'd like to know.
Like what?
But I live in an apartment now. If I lived in a house, I would definitely want to know what that is, because it's my fucking house. I want to know who.
But you know what? You don't know that that's coming from your house. I hear noises outside my house. I assume it's my neighbors. They could be breaking my siding off my house. I just assume they're doing something in their driveway. I don't examine every noise outside of my house.
I don't believe
right.
it.
Well, that's you. Well, we know
that's a normal homeowner.
All right, if you say so.
I do.
Yeah, no,
but also figure that these two houses are, a certain distance together, but they're the only two houses there. Still,
how do you know that?
I wouldn't, because look at this. Watch the movie, you'll see.
I did watch the movie.
All right.
There could have been houses across the street on either side.
Aries hasn't had
over a little thing.
Aries hasn't had a good argument in a while. Let him be, all right?
Yeah. People have been waiting for this.
Yeah.
But no, I got to go with MZ. Go fuck yourself, MZ. But I got to agree with him on like.
Fuck you, but you're right.
Yeah, you go fuck yourself. Fucking.
Okay, no, you go ahead. You want it on this? I got enough for both of you.
Wow.
No, go ahead.
No, and I would agree. If you would hear that, and I think Aries, I think you're lying to yourself, and you're lying to the listeners, and you're lying to me right now. Where I've seen you get really concerned, and you pull certain things out, and you get real inquisitive, and you try to get get things out. When you hear sounds, you don't like sounds.
When a sound is coming from inside the structure I am in, with something coming from outside, I can give it away. Especially I have noisy neighbors. The motherfucker next to me is fucking building shit, and I'm gonna kill him one of these days.
Oh, that's evidence.
Everyone forget I said that.
Yeah.
No, we don't need witnesses for the prosecution here. But you know what? I mean, I hear noises. I ignore it because it's coming from outside. If I hear something that I think is coming from inside my house, I go investigate. That bulkhead is 100% outside that house. And these people, they're not me. They're not this hyper vigilant type of person where any little noise triggers their fucking bat sense.
But still, I think we're fine. But I would be concerned about that. And you have dogs, okay? Because your dogs would be concerned. Always concerned. I put the light on and grab my katana. Just get ready.
Yeah, let me ask you a question. So when was the last time you left your house to investigate a noise?
Left my house?
Left your house. Search the outside of your house to investigate a noise.
Never.
I haven't.
You've never done that. So shut your fucking mouth.
Fuck you. All right. I'd done it back, and Johnny was with me back at the manor.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was about 20 years ago.
Still. But
you know what? If the motherfucker's going to get up out of the studio to investigate a fucking mouse that's in the next room when we were at the studio next town over. Yeah. This motherfucker will investigate that little noise. Is saying I can buy that kid can break into the bulkhead. You don't have a fucking leg to stand on.
Listen, I have lights to turn on. Okay, is what I have. And I have exterior lights, and I have a dog. And when Ollie calms down, I look out the windows. I know. I looked around. I got my katana.
Peek out the curtain very carefully.
Shut the lights off. Open the curtain. But no, I didn't prompt me to investigate. But I have with Johnny. And we had
20 years ago.
20
all right, this argument was fun. Let's move on. Next argument.
Yes, please.
But we're living.
Damn it.
I think it's so funny they were living so rurally. Is that a word? In the rural area. But those houses were like on top of each other. That was kind of unusual.
Because it was framed in such a way you only saw those two houses. You don't know what else was around them.
Yeah, and it doesn't really matter.
We're putting way too much. We're putting way too much effort into this.
Guys, this is the number one film in America.
My main discussion, my main point that I'm trying to make here is that we completely missed the point. Not the point, but we completely missed the area where Ben leaves his house to go sneak over to next door, and I think that and like I said, there was a lot of scenes like that in this movie that just kind of takes away the tension. I mean, if you find it tension or a tense situation or not is irrelevant. They're implying tension, but they completely
I think it adds to the tension. You do realize that in the real world, there are cases where there's families out back of their house, and a criminal will sneak in their front door and rob the house while the family is out back. Like, that is legitimate, multiple cases of that happening.
This is
not that far-fetched.
No. I'm not even going to get into it because we'd be going way off. We're going way off track here. I'm not even going to get into it because we're going way off track.
Well,
that is like 100% on track. You're finding it hard to believe that the kid can sneak next door.
Yes, because the kid is the good guy. We're relating to the kid being the good guy because we want to know what's going on.
Oh, the good guy can't sneak. Only bad guys can sneak?
We're not relating to a robber, okay? We're not relating to a robber. Just the fact that a robber is in the house, regardless of how it's filmed prior, is scary enough. Yes, so the tension is there. But we're talking about a kid, 17-year-old kid, good kid, some problems, but certainly not a bad kid, and he's trying to figure out what the hell is going on. So because he is the quote-unquote good guy in this movie, we want to see how he gets from his house to his next door neighbor's house without being noticed. It's and this is broad daylight too, by the way. So it's not like it's at night. It's not fact. It's just opinion. And from my opinion, I think we should have seen more. But like I said, there were a couple of other scenes like that in this movie that kind of shortcuts itself.
So Corny has a good point. It says, MZ, you better calm down and watch your volume before your lady friend checks him. Aries actually froze smiling, so this is actually pretty humorous.
How do I fix that?
I love another
screenshot.
That's
oh my god!
That was terrifying. How do I? Oh my god!
That's creepy.
Yeah.
And there you go.
You guys wonder why I don't smile a lot. There you go.
What were you gonna say, Rain Shadow? Oh, he just got up. What the fuck?
What? What are you doing? Where are you going?
I heard a noise.
Yeah, he's gonna go check it. Yeah, right. He's not gonna check that fucking noise. So there is a possession that happens in this movie, guys. It's not about breaking and entering. But I thought the scene where the witch possesses the neighbor, it was actually fairly well done. It was obviously these guys had a budget, so I thought the mix of the baby cam footage was actually kind of smart. So I dug that. It didn't show a ton, but I thought it was an effective way of showing it. And then when you did see some of it, it was enough to kind of like make it a little creepy looking.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed it, especially the full body naked shot in the window.
Yeah.
Like the position of the body. I thought that was very well done.
Yeah.
Kind of contorted and all.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think she played Zara Mahler. I think played the role well. It was, while some of it was pretty physical, and I think she really looked the part when and kind of made it work. So I thought that she did a good job of sort of selling that sort of like possession aspect of things and how she changed. I thought that was pretty effective.
What I also liked was the symbol that you keep finding everywhere.
Yeah.
And that Ben was looking up. And that's a symbol for Earth. That's an old damn it, I forget the term. But it's a symbol for Earth, which kind of connects with the lair from which the witch resides. And she has the ability to make people forget. She has the ability to make people forget certain things, important things, and has the ability to mimic other people's voices. So she has the ability to entrap her victims. And you'll learn more of that as you go along by finding pictures with their faces scraped off and shit like that.
Yeah, I think they did a pretty good job of giving you that sort of mythology. I think that's the thing is, I think it was just enough, but it wasn't quite enough. I would have liked to have seen more of that, So I think they gave you enough to really kind of grab onto, but I feel that it really could have done with a little bit more.
See, I thought the scratching of the faces was a little much because there was no point in that beyond the audience's benefit for that. Like
I agree.
It was just kind of a way to progress the story along, to help the characters get to the next stage.
Yeah, they put all their cards on the table on this one with really nothing to be suspenseful for, they kind of like laid out all their cards on the table saying, this is what's happening. This is what needs to be done. And the need for suspense is kind of gone by that time. and that's one of the misfortunate things about this movie. Another thing is the subplots. There are a number of subplots in this movie. The tension between the dad and the son who ends up befriending a girl, but ends up going after another girl. So he's going after two girls at once, really.
No, he's not going after both girls at once. He's smitten with the popular girl.
Right.
Yeah.
The other one who was just friends with at the time.
Yeah.
It was just a prank, really.
Yeah. The problem with the boys, giving him shit. Yeah, and I don't know. It just felt like there was just a few too many subplots going on. Ben trying to get along with his father's new girlfriend.
See, I thought that
there were a few subplots that just didn't end up getting any closure.
Well, the whole subplot with the other girl and those other boys kind of was a whole lot of nothing for one, not even key scene, just for one little scene to hold him up for a brief period. Like an escape. There was a whole lot of build up for little payoff.
I concur.
Yeah, and that was so. I don't want to talk too much about this aspect, but there was sort of a reveal near the end that was unexpected when it happened, but I feel really fell flat. Like, I don't want to say too much, but it seemed like it was more for like a shock than a smart narrative device, and I think the impact was really minimized. Yeah. I think it was going for like a holy shit, but it was just really like, really? It's kind of like what I felt. And I think it was a bold move. No, I wouldn't even say it a bold move, but it was a surprising move because it didn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, I don't want to talk too much about it. I know it's being super vague, but you guys know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, I agree. That should have been more. That should have been like, trumpets blaring with all that, and it was just kind of a like a wah wah, like, because like I thought that like it was like, oh, they should have done this, and then they did it, and I went, oh, okay, and it was just it was a letdown, more of a letdown than anything.
It was really low-hanging fruit. I wasn't impressed with the ending at all. Real disappointment.
Yeah.
It felt like it was written the way the whole structure of the film was. It just felt like it was written by like a 15-year-old. There was no meat on the bones, so to speak. It just felt very flat throughout the whole thing. And the only times where it did feel kind of, inspired is because a couple of those scenes were inspired from other films, and it's very obvious.
Yeah, there was a lot of wink and nods to a lot of other cinema, and I feel actually kind of did themselves a disservice because it seemed like it was going in one direction, and then they'd make a sharp right to another thing to give another little wink and nod to something else.
How about fucking
like
Rear Window?
All right, Ravenshaw, go ahead. You've been quiet.
So?
Well, no, I mean the whole Rear Window thing was kind of a little on the nose too much, right?
Oh yeah, I mean that was a big one. Yeah, there was a lot of subtle little winks and nods. Yeah.
The Shining, Evil Dead. I mean, it was filled with references, unoriginal references. I mean, this movie's far from original to begin with, and to just reference not reference other films, but borrow little bits and pieces from other films doesn't exactly do the film any favors.
Yeah. I didn't get a strong sense that it was borrowing from a lot of other films. I just felt it was a little bit played too safe. It didn't do. I don't know. Like I think it had a decent antagonist. You know, I think that I enjoyed a little bit of what they did. It the way they did it was like a little bit of. I don't know. I don't want to say too much. Actually, I don't want to give too much away, just in case people haven't seen it and they're interested. But the way that they did the antagonist, I thought was pretty good. There was some stuff I dug, some stuff I didn't. But yeah, I mean that reveal, I feel like they thought that they were building up to something and it just didn't land, and it just kind of fell flat. And it was like I didn't really care about that, and it didn't have any additional impact on anything else that happened prior. Like it made me go like, oh, that's weird, you know, like, but it didn't have as much impact where I was able, like, holy shit, I got to go back and watch this again, you know, like, it wasn't like that kind of deal, you know, it's not like,
yeah.
So I don't want to say too much more about it because it is kind of really spoilery.
Well, and I feel like the some of the subplots were lost on us because of our age. I think they were geared more towards a teen audience with that whole bullying and the prank going on that relates more towards a younger demographic with that.
Yeah, and it could. I mean, obviously, you know, we were all young at one point in time, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
I mean, looking back, you know, with these kids, they shoulder checked them. You know what? And me right now, someone shoulder checks me, they're going in the drink. So it's just like it's hard for me to relate to this kid, and that's part of my problem with this movie.
Yeah, but Aries, you look like you now at 17. So I mean, to be fair, you've never gotten hip checked by a wharf. I'm confident I can say that.
Well, you know, but I mean, at some point in time, I probably could have related to that the bullying aspect of it. But now I'm so far from it. I can't.
As the bully. Why are you so fat? Why are you so fat?
All right, I want to start to wind things down here. What did you guys think of the monster design?
I liked it.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was shot very well. Like it was, you know, there wasn't like a full-on just 100% reveal of it. So I liked that it was kind of hidden through most of it. In the end, even the shadowing of it was done very well.
Yeah, I agree. I think it walked that line of showing not enough and too much, just right. Because I know a lot of movies sometimes are on the side of not showing enough, or some might show too much, and then it gets, you know. So I think they did it right in this case. I think that it was just enough. It left me wanting a little bit more, which is always kind of a good thing, I think. So, and I thought the design looked good, and you know, when we got to see it, especially towards the end, especially with the skull, that part where we're seeing with the skull mask, I thought was pretty effective.
Yes.
But there was also some silly stuff. I don't want to say too much about this scene, but when the dad is barreling down in the woods with the truck.
Oh God, that was so dumb. I felt my IQ point drop about 14 points after watching that scene.
I didn't think the IQ could go into the negative.
Oh, that was awful. That was just dumb. I don't really want to get into that because I'll just start ranting and raving about that. Oh my God. Oh God, it was awful.
And I mean, once again, I don't want to give too much away here, but yeah, like I mean, if you're writing a movie smartly, that doesn't happen because the information, like the dad doesn't have certain information, right? Like, and for him to almost like put his child at risk, you know, it was like, how did you know he was going to move? And how did you know what was there?
And that's not the only one. That's not the only one. What about the dog?
Yeah.
Where the fuck did that dog come from?
Was that the one from?
Where did it?
About halfway through, yeah.
Yeah. Near the lake. Near the lake. Where the hell did
Was
that
it the
dog
one?
come from?
Was it the one from the store?
Yeah, it was, but still, it's like
Well, yeah,
there's
he
no
just
reference
showed up.
to him from
Yeah.
then. Yeah, he just showed up. It's so It was that was awful. It was awful. Oh my god.
Yeah, that scene though at the end with the dad in the truck was just like, oh god, like it, like that's
Terrible.
that might actually be MZ. Like if you ever go on Conan O'Brien, that's going to be your clip. That's going to be your Paul Rudd clip. That dad barreling down the fucking forest.
I want to show this a clip. Yeah, it's a new movie I'm doing. It's called Morbid Tales. Okay, here it is.
The dad was like,
oh god, it was awful. Just terrible. Just terrible.
And they didn't do a lot of like really bad things in this, but that was like, come on, you know?
Yeah, right.
All right. Well, anyone else have anything else to say about this before we head to the verdict on this one? No?
Not really.
Okay.
No.
Good. Let's go to the verdict.
Break it up.
Trick or treat, baby.
I wonder if people would say you're a trick or a treat.
Trick or treat, motherfucker.
All right, it is verdict time. We're going to let you know whether this flick was a trick or a treat. Any final thoughts we may have. Let's start with MZ.
Well, I also felt like the actors just felt so disconnected with each other. Like they never gelled in this movie.
Yeah,
it all felt so separate.
I won't disagree with that. I didn't really think too much about it during the time, but now that you say that, like I'm like, yeah, I just didn't get a strong sense of chemistry, you know? Obviously,
yeah,
once again, budget, I totally get that. It's and you know, you have to kind of like hire actors based on your budget, but yeah, I thought the main kid, I thought Ben was okay, but otherwise, I thought that and also thought that the woman who played the mother, the next door neighbor mother, was had a good kind of physical presence, but otherwise, I think that it just kind of no chemistry really.
Yeah, the whole movie really did fall flat. And you know there's really nothing original here at all. The performances are kind of weak. The story is weak. Lots of areas are borrowed from other films. Yeah, the writing is really, really off. There's no real sense of suspense in this movie. Even though I do say that they borrowed some ideas, I will say that one of the ideas that I think that I feel that they borrowed from was the score. I feel that they borrowed a little bit, or maybe a majority of it, and they just took their own interpretation of it from Evil Dead. And that was kind of enjoyable because it just kind of brought back a moment where when filmmaking was a little bit easier to deal with, you know. Also, I kind of liked the effects of the flowers wilting, which also had a very 80s style to it. It didn't look like CGI. If it was, I was very impressed, but it didn't look like CGI. It had a very 80s feel to it, and I really liked that.
Yeah.
So, and the practical effects were fairly decent as well. The throat scene there's a certain throat scene that really kind of shined through. That was really well done. Everything else, I could just lump it. It was just not a fun movie to watch, not enjoyable, not scary, not suspenseful, and worst of all, not original in any sense. So that said, this is a trick. I do not recommend this. I won't be seeing this again.
All right. How about you, Raven Shadow?
I don't know, man. I don't watch a lot of witch movies. You know what I mean? I don't understand. You know what I mean? I don't watch a lot of those. What, there was Witches of Eastwick. I didn't see the goat one.
There's the Oh, you didn't see the witch?
Oh yeah, the one called The Witch. That was about a witch.
The Vavitch.
The Vavitch.
The one, for Cinemax back in the day, I was a big fan of Witches of Breastwick. If you saw that, I'm pretty sure MZ did.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I know you did. But whatever, man. I enjoyed it fine. It whatever. I would have liked more of Johnny said the mythology. There was some interesting things going on there. Way more child violence than we're used to seeing, to be fair. Which that was nice to see for those who hate kids.
By the way, Ernst, not to cut you off, but one good witch movie, the autopsy. It's a bit of a spoiler, I guess, but the Autopsy of Jane Doe. A different kind of witch movie.
All right, yeah, so that's one. All right, good. Yeah, we should watch that again.
The Blair Witch.
All right, the Blair Witch. That was fun. That was fun.
Suspiria.
It was good chairs in that movie.
Oh, I was talking about the original.
Wizard of Oz.
Wizard of Oz. Oh yeah, so all right, I like that. But no, man, it was. What are you gonna do? Big Ups, #1 movie in America.
Big Ups.
Pandemic. That's nice. I like the characters, and I agree. The big reveal was not like an M. Night Shyamalan, like, oh snap, Bruce Willis is really
what?
a ghost.
What? He's what?
He
was a
came
fucking
out
ghost.
He's a fucking ghost. Sorry, spoiler alert.
He was dead all along.
He was dead all along. Who saw it coming? That's fucking weird. Palpatine was the Phantom Menace.
Palpatine? Who's Palpatine? Sounds like something you take for an upset stomach.
Yeah.
Palpatine. Thank you very much.
Palpatine. Oh.
Like Ovaltine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Morris
that's better.
It's not Morris Day in the Palpatines.
Morris Day in the Palpatines, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I like Ben. I like the lady friend. I like his dad when he was smoking a butt in the room and the chick comes in. He's like, oh, sorry. He's like, oh, it's not going to kill me. That resonated with me. But I don't know, man. It was a tepid treat. What are you going to do? There's worse shit out there.
All right, let's hear from Aries.
All right, yeah, he's right. There is worse shit out there. Doesn't mean you need to watch the halfway worse shit out there. This movie, I mean, it had some decent things going for it, some decent practical effects, but the acting in it was awful. Like, most of the actors in it, like, they were phoning it in. I don't know, like, I don't know if it was their first movie or they just really have no business in the business. But yeah, it was bad acting, no chemistry. The flower aspect of it, I did like that. I would have liked a payoff with that. Some kind of where the character realizes something is wrong because of that. But, you can't have it all with the movies. Or you can't have anything with these movies. This movie, I mean, just Jesus Christ. Okay, I'm sorry. I just glimpsed of that.
You see the picture posted in the chat room?
Yeah, I just kind of happened to notice the chat room there. I used to like Marion, and then that happened. Okay.
Oh shit! It froze on that, by the way,
Right.
Aries, for like a few seconds.
Oh, that was perfect. Okay. And you guys wonder why I don't want to be on screen. Okay. Completely lost my train of thought. Yeah, this movie just it lacks a lot of things. So I really can't even recommend this on your most boredom of days. This movie is a trick. Excuse me.
You're all thrown off.
Yeah.
All right. So for me, this is I'm going to go with barely a trick. I think there was some cool monster design and some decent moments, but I don't think it was enough to really set this film apart from the rest of the pack. The twist just wasn't telegraphed at all and fell flat for me. I think there was some cool mythology here. It just was not explored nearly enough. I would have loved to have seen more, kind of a deeper dive into more about this witch. I think that was sort of the interesting part, and they didn't really do much, or really, like, once again, and I've talked about this. I think we've all kind of talked about it. Like, they didn't really do a good job of setting the rules of the world that they've built. So I didn't know what this witch was capable of necessarily. You know, like, I think there was some cool stuff that they did, but it just was like, yeah, okay, well, apparently she can just do whatever because, you know, there's no rules set in place here. So I think having those boundaries really can make a difference. Now, I'm not saying they need someone to lay out all the rules and you know, in a big info dump or something like that. But I think there's some ways that you could have explored that. So I think I think the film's priorities were in the wrong place. Certainly not a bad film, just a little too unexciting for me, I guess. And the fact that this film is the #1 film in America for 5 weeks in a row, like, having that distinction is like, man, like, of all the movies, like, to, you know, once again, I'm not putting it down. They made a fine film, but, like, some of these other movies that we've talked about recently, like imagine if, like, The Vast of Night even got a theatrical release. You know, like, that probably would have done bigger business than this. You know, movies like, imagine Deerskin, MZ, being, imagine if that was the #1 film in America.
Jesus Christ.
Like, you know, and there's just some others that I'm just like, man, like, Extraordinary even. Like, that was a fun film. Like, you know, I could just see, you know, some of these other films, if they had hit at the right time and had the sort of, you know, hit right before the pandemic. Like, imagine, like, Color Out of Space, VFW, Come to Daddy, you know, like some of these other ones, like, if they had come out and hit drive-ins at the same time, like, there's just so many other films that have come out this year that would have been better, like, that I would have liked to have seen as, you know, I'm using finger quotes, the #1 movie in America, you know. But I guess in a sense, it kind of makes sense that a low-budget indie kind of middling horror film is it, because that kind of just speaks to what people, it's just a small microcosm of what people want to see. Like, a lot of times people just want escapism. And, you know, I'm not saying that this is great escapism, but it's escapism, and people get that escapism through horror films, like a lot of people do anyways. So I think having that, it's like, you know, people, I don't know why people want to watch horror when the world around us is even fucking scarier, but, you know, maybe by comparison, people are like, hey, you know, I just want to turn my brain off and just watch a fucking, like, scary movie. I can totally get with that, and I understand that. So I can see why this movie was able to sort of achieve that status. But is it deserved? Probably not. I would definitely wait till this is on a streaming site if you probably want to check it out. It's got some interesting things, you know, and I mean, the funny thing is I could see it being a franchise. Maybe not.
Yeah, right.
You know, and I kind of hope that doesn't happen, because I'd like to see these directors tackle something else potentially. But, you know, being the #1 film in America, I could see potentially a sequel from this. So,
well, but you know what? With the publicity this movie had, and maybe they could get a little bit more of a budget and a decent story, I would actually watch a sequel to this.
Yeah, right. Yes.
Yeah, maybe.
Yes, hopefully with a bigger budget, you know, they learned from their mistakes. The Pierce brothers learned from their mistakes, and I mean, it's possible, but I agree with Wolfie that there's a possible franchise in this.
I'm definitely down for what these guys do next. I would be interested in the next picture, you know.
Yeah.
Sure.
All right. Well, that is going to do it for our discussion of The Wretched. And next week, we're doing another film. Actually, I'm not sure. I think this one is playing in drive-ins, if I'm not mistaken, at least in some, but it's also on VOD. And the movie is called Becky.
Yeah.
Why are you excited about this, Raven Shadow?
Excited because it has fucking Joel McHale from The Community, and also Stargirl episode 1.
Yeah.
It's got Paul Blart Mall Cop looking like Ares, and then it has a little blonde girl. So I'm psyched.
Who's the little blonde girl?
I don't know. Probably Becky, probably, I'm thinking, right?
Yeah, but I mean, how do you know who she is?
Because it's called Becky, and she's the girl, right?
Oh, my God.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Why do you talk to him?
Because it's very entertaining.
It can be.
Yeah, in 5-second increments.
Yeah, so we're going to watch Becky. The synopsis: a teenager's weekend at a lake house with her father takes a turn for the worse when a group of convicts wreak havoc on their lives. So yes, it does star a Nazi Kevin James playing a Nazi.
Who looks like the Big Show.
He does, actually. I didn't even realize that.
Did not see that coming.
Wow. So we're gonna check out Becky. If you guys want to play along at home, it is available on VOD, I believe. Actually, let me just see. Yeah, this is available. So if you guys want to check out Becky, you can play along at home. And if you'd like to leave your thoughts, feel free to send them podcast at trickortreatradio.com in a voice message or an email. So let me just double check. So it is okay. It's available to rent or buy. So there you go. You can use our Amazon link if you want to watch it on Amazon. All right, so we'll check out Becky next week. I'm not going to say what I said early on, MZ, when I was talking about the movie.
Yep.
And we do have a voice message. You guys want to check that out?
Yes.
No.
No? All right, well, let's hear from our boy, Arkham Josh.
Hey, Trick or Treat Radio guys, it's Arkham Josh here. Just calling in, catching up on the last couple of weeks' films. Last week's film, The Vast of Night. This was something I had not heard of. You guys brought it up, and wow, that was a fantastic film. I thought the simplicity of the story worked great. I thought the cast was great, the camera work was great, the score worked well. I agree with some people where I could have taken, the whole Twilight Zone-esque thing. I could have kind of taken or leaving that, It didn't hurt it, it didn't help it, kind of thing. But overall, it was really impressive. I really look forward to seeing what the filmmakers do in the future. That Vast of Night is definitely a treat and a recommend. This week's movie, The Wretched. I actually saw this a few weeks ago at our local drive-in, and it was a lot of fun. I thought it was a good story. I thought it was pretty well acted overall. Most of the people were great. The score was all right. Camera work was good. The effects I thought were really good. They stood out to me. Like I said, getting to go out and see it on a big screen, that was also a lot of fun. So The Wretched, I will also give a treat and a recommend. So 2 treats, 2 recommends. I didn't have time to look up The Wretched to see, what else those people have worked on. But regardless, if I see a movie marketed as being from the people that made that film, I'll definitely check it out. So, 2 treats, 2 recommends. I hope everything's going good for you guys. Actually, at the drive-in right now, the drive-in near us has actually been pulling out a lot of smaller films, more interesting stuff. Like as I mentioned, we saw The Wretched here. Oddly enough, this week they're showing a horror comedy that I had never heard of till they announced it, called Aqua Slash, which appears to be about a slasher at a water park. And I watched the trailer, and to be honest, it looks like kind of straight to video, kind of could be entertaining or not, but we figured might as well get out of the house and go check it out and see it in a drive-in. And I'll let you guys know next week if this is any good or not, all right? Hey, I hope everybody there is doing well, and I'll talk to you soon, okay? Bye.
Aqua Slash, huh?
Jesus.
All
Yeah,
right.
that's a title.
Yeah, it sounds kind of interesting. It's actually cool.
Yeah.
Like I do hope that drive-ins have sort of this newfound life, because I think it was Aries. I think you mentioned that you used to go all the time. I too went a lot when I was younger, and it's cool because you don't have to like going to the movie theater. It can get really expensive, especially if you're taking a family or a group of friends or something like that. But everyone pile in the car and pay, I don't know what it is now, but $20 or whatever it is, and and obviously you can socially distance a little bit better. So it's interesting that it's kind of coming back, and I hope it sticks around. I hope it has a nice little revival, and especially if there's a market for stuff like this, like maybe if they go in a different direction where it's not the big budget films necessarily. I'm sure they're going to continue to do that. But maybe if they take some chances on some stuff like The Wretched or Aqua Slash, like Josh is talking about, So it'd be interesting to see what they do, and if they stick around once the theaters reopen,
Well, yeah, some of these movies that are direct to video or direct to on demand, if they were more of a drive-in movie, I think would do some good business. Because seeing drive-ins from movies from years ago, it seems like they played more of B movies back then. I don't know if that's just how the cinema portrays them, but that seems to be like in the 50s and 60s, you went and watched a B movie horror movie in the drive-in.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, it would be interesting. I hope it does kind of stick around. It would be cool, and give it a different life, and give it something different. They'll probably have second run theaters. Like they'll probably do second run films. But I think it would be kind of a cool thing for them to continue to do stuff like that. So be interesting to see where it goes. All right. Well, I think we should wrap up. Do you guys have anything else you want to discuss before we do that?
Well, I just want to say that I don't know if any of you guys saw. Well, I know Raven Shadow saw it because he mentioned it. I don't know about you other guys, but I don't know if you saw what happened to Creepy Girl yesterday.
Oh yeah.
What?
She fell off. She fell off of like some sort of walk that was like 4 feet up, and she fell onto a picket fence.
Jeez.
And ripped open her arm like right here, and needed like 8 or 9 stitches.
Ouch.
Oh, but she's okay?
Yeah. She's fine. You go on her Facebook. She posted pictures of it. It's pretty grotesque. Looks like she was in a fight with Sabu or something.
Jesus.
So, and she got messed up pretty bad, and but she got all stitched up. I guess she also hurt her chest and her leg, so she got banged up pretty bad.
And that's what you're concerned about, is her chest.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, very funny, very funny. Who told you? Nah, honestly, just tell her, hey, hang in there, she'll be better.
Thank you, MZ. Yeah, feel better, Creepy Girl. We're sorry that happened to you.
Yeah.
Better, get some rest. Have some daiquiris.
Some daiquiris.
Drinking's always the answer, huh?
Yes, it is.
It's never wrong.
On that note, All right, so let's go around the room and everyone say their goodbyes, starting with MZ.
Arrivederci, douchebags.
Aries.
I'll see you in your wildest dreams.
Ooh. Raven Shadow.
Live fast, love hard, survive with your mask on.
I thought you were going to do a Taz there. Survive if I let you.
Survive if I let you. Sabu.
All right, and let's see. I don't know. I don't have anything outstanding. Just continue to listen to people and be nice. Don't be a dick.
Knock it off.
And don't support dicks.
Well, depends.
What?
Literal or figurative?
Unless you're a jockstrap.
Come on. Yeah,
So-
yeah, exactly. That's the only way it's good. It's okay.
Yeah, fuck dicks.
That's all right. Before Raven Shadow goes off like a water wiggle,
Yeah.
we better end this shit. So we appreciate you guys, and once again, all of our Patreon supporters. Thank you guys. Hopefully, you dig the new episode of Raven Shadow's top 13 toy lines from his youth, and we'd love to get some feedback on that. And let us know what you think. Comment on Patreon, or just send us a message. Podcast at trickortreatradio.com. And next week we're going to be discussing the film Becky. If you want to check it out, feel free to check it out and let us know your thoughts. And that is going to do it. So everyone who called in, that is Josh, and everyone who listened live, we appreciate you guys. And come back next week. We'll see you then.